It's time to get your checking account to zero with free checking from PenFed. That's zero ATM fees, zero balance requirements, and zero time spent waiting for your paycheck to direct deposit because you can receive it up to 2 days early. Open your account with just $25 and see how big zero can be. Apply online today at penfed.org/free checking. Early direct deposit eligibility may vary between pay periods and timing of payers' funding. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are tolerant of weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Talking with my buddy Troy Sharp today. Troy lives in Juneau, Alaska, which is north of Ketchikan by a couple hundred miles. We're going to talk the differences in hunting. We're going to talk about good things to go see and do if you find yourself in Juneau, like perchance on a cruise this summer. We're also going to talk about raising kids in Alaska, at least he is, since I have none. And we're going to talk about jet boats, inflatable jet boats. There's a new brand that's going to be making its way to Alaska, and we'll see what that's all about. Coming up next, episode 38, the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. Here we go. So we got tour season starting up.
Yeah.
What's Juneau like during the summer? You get your first boats in May. What is it like up there?
I think right at the end of this month, right at the beginning of May, the boats start coming in, and it's definitely a zoo downtown. I mean, it's pretty much consolidated down there as far as just being everything plugged up. Probably somewhat similar to Ketchikan, and then you get a lot of buses coming out to the glacier and out to Auk Bay for whale watching tours and things like that. But for the most part, it doesn't seem to affect anything outside of downtown too much. But I mean, obviously, you go downtown, you go past the bridge, and it's just congested. So that it
what part of town do you live?
I live out in the valley on Mendenhall Loop Road, a couple miles from the glacier. So if you're going to go from the airport to the glacier, you'd go right by, close to where I live. So it doesn't affect us too bad, and I pretty much avoid downtown like the plague for the most part in the summertime.
So what your normal routine, is it kind of involve downtown, and then you just kind of stay to yourself once the cruise ships start?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too many reasons to go downtown, and there's one nice beach down south of downtown, out what we call Thane, which is the end of the road going that way down Gastineau Channel. So there's a nice beach there that we go have fires on sometimes, and then in September. There's a big run of hatchery cohos that come back to that area. So there's some pretty good fishing off the beach there. So I'll go through there in September some and into early October. But other than that, I really don't need to go downtown for too much of anything. Seems like about once a year I go down there in the heart of tourism season, and that's my fix.
I was talking with Kayla Royce from the Fly Shop up there, and the fishing program up there is much, much different than Prince of Wales. We grew up there, and so many other rivers and river systems are accessible by driving.
Yeah.
How are you coping with, or you've been up there for quite a while now?
Yes.
Are you missing Prince of Wales at all when it comes to fishing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so when I first moved here in the very end of 2005, I believe, maybe January 2006, and definitely, I mean, a little bit of culture shock because, hey, it has streetlights and stuff like that and box stores. But then I pretty much quit fishing and hunting for embarrassingly for a few years, just because you kind of get a bit of you get a bit spoiled growing up where we did in terms of access to fishing and hunting, and not being around a lot of people. If at home, if I could see somebody on the same river as me, I'd move. For the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I realized I didn't really I wasn't that good at hunting and fishing, even though I did it a lot. Like I think from 7th to 10th grade, I lived with the Benstons in Cloak in Sealyville, right across from the river there, and we probably spent, I don't know, a good 200 days in waders at least part of the day. But I mean, the fishing was just so good there that you didn't need that much to catch fish. But then it definitely is different coming up here. So I honestly stopped fishing and hunting for a long time. And probably just started getting back into it. I probably stopped for 3 or 4 years. For the most part, I just wait until I went home to hunt or fish.
Now that you're a dad, what are some of your favorite parts about growing up or raising kids so they can grow up in Alaska and maybe specifically Juneau?
Yeah, just getting them outside. We go out and have a lot of fires on the beaches and stuff like that, and just I like that a regular part of their life is going out and having campfires or going out in the boat, and that's something that they ask about a lot. Is when are we going to go out in the boat, or when are we going to go have a fire on the beach? So that's pretty fun stuff, and I definitely look forward to getting them into fishing and hunting. And as far as Juneau goes, there's good access to nice beaches. You can drive to a variety of really nice either sandy beaches or pebbly beaches to rocky beaches if you want some barnacles and some tide pools and stuff. But there's a lot of good access to beaches. And then if you have a boat, there's the opportunities are endless. Weather pending. Admiralty Island has a lot of really nice beaches. Lynn Canal, both sides, the mainland and the Chilkat Peninsula, which is the mainland, I guess, has some nice beaches. And then even backside of Douglas has some nice beaches. So getting out in the boat, getting them out having campfires, and then look forward to getting them out fishing and hunting. And Ayla, my daughter, she's 4.5. She's caught cutthroat. She caught an old ragged coho last year, and she's caught some pollock and fish like that off the dock. So that's fun.
What about hikes? There's that hike. It's an old Skaters Road or whatever that takes you up pretty much on top of, I guess it's the north side of Mendenhall Glacier. What are some other hikes around there that are pretty good that you'd recommend?
Man. Yeah, that's another good thing about Juneau. There's just a whole myriad of trails. Pretty much any neighborhood that you're in has a nice trail going off of it, whether it's a bike path that's paved or a nice gravel path or, a boardwalk path through the muskeg or whatever. But that's the West Glacier Trail that you just listed there. And that ends up, you can go up McGinnis Mountain off of that. Other nice trails. Montana Creek has some really nice trails alongside it that dumps into the Mendenhall River off back loop. But on either side of Montana Creek, there's some really nice trails. Herbert River out north of town has a nice trail that goes along it. Perseverance Trail is another really popular one. That's a really, really neat trail up, and that's right up above downtown. And that's actually an old mining road. It goes up to a bunch of old mines up in the valley up there. But that's a really neat, just beautiful trail. But you make a good point there. There is a lot of really nice access to good hiking and good trails, and it doesn't take long to get off. You get off on a trail and you get hiking for 5 or 10 minutes, and you start feeling like you're out away from town and can start seeing some wildlife, and the noises start dulling down a little bit, and that is a nice aspect about Juneau as well.
The crazy thing, in the back of any of those, like the Last Chance area, or any of those canyons, you get to the back of them, you're in the ice field. Yep. There's no coming out the back side of it. It's glacier. It's kind of spooky. No, Juneau is it's aesthetically, it's a really beautiful place, and it's really neat geologically in that it's set right up against the Coast Range, and then you have Lynn Canal and Stevens Passage on the other side, and you get up over one ridge or two ridges, and you're into ice field, like you said, and the Mendenhall Glacier, of course, makes its way through the mountains and dumps into the lake here. And then Herbert and Eagle both kind of poke their way through the Coast Range too. But yeah, as soon as you get up
up one ridge, two ridges at the most. You're looking at ice field for 80 miles north to south, until you hit the Taku River to the south, or you hit Skagway to the north. It's all ice, and yeah, the mountains are real steep and can be pretty unforgiving. One thing I want to start doing is try and get after the goats here, but the terrain is definitely intimidating.
Yeah, the goat hunt down on here on Revilla is such a nice one. It's not nearly as extreme. Things become a lot more docile as you head south from Juneau.
Yeah.
You get to like you got muskegs, and the alpine down here is a lot less unforgiving.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've seen a lot of pictures of the goats off Reville, and I'm like, where do they find these big grassy prairie lands up in the alpine, up in the Juneau area? It's pretty steep, pretty rocky, and those high plateaus are pretty few and far between. The glaciers just didn't get up high enough to carve off the tops of them quite. So it's like Douglas Island. The mountains over there kind of remind me a lot more of Prince of Wales in terms of the topography and what it's like. They're very similar to Harris Peaks, I guess. Not quite as high, a little bit lower than the Harris Peaks in terms of how steep they are and what kind of alpine you run into.
Yeah, it's no surprise that Revilla goat tag is so coveted, because it's almost a slam dunk. You've got a trail up to Mount Mahoney and Achilles, and it's pretty easy and nice, but that's if you can draw the ticket.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, there's three different hunts in Juneau, and they're all over the counter. One's a archery range, and then north of town from Eagle to Berners Bay, that one opens up, I think, in September, and then in northern Berners Bay and over on the Chilcats, there's another hunt. So there's a few different options goat wise in a lot of area, but it's the nicest terrain is definitely the archery only terrain. But then you're obviously limited by your equipment there, and it's still, if you've hiked up Perseverance Trail up to Last Chance Base and all that, you've seen what the terrain looks like in that area.
Have you eaten goat? Have it prepared?
I have not eaten goat yet. I have multiple friends, and I get it's funny, I get mixed reports from all of them. Some, they either really love it or really similar to black bear. It seems like people either really love it or really don't love it.
Yeah. I've had it in a chili once, and then I had it in like a sausage. Those are, it doesn't matter what you're having. If you put it in a chili or you're having a sausage, it's going to be fine.
Absolutely.
But I like to have, strips or have it in a more raw form.
That's one of my friends that is a successful goat hunter, and he's actually does it archery style with a longbow. He likes getting them as soon as he can in August, earlier in the season, for taste wise. Obviously, their fur isn't as good then, but he says the meat is significantly better. He likes them slow cooked. But yeah, no, I'd like the opportunity to harvest one and see what they're like. Anyways,
yeah, anything to not buy some of that beef from those lots down in California or wherever it comes from, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely, I think stuff that you get yourself probably always tastes a little bit better just for that fact. But there's not a whole lot of wild game that I've come across that I didn't.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Didn't like.
So you mentioned a lot about the beaches there and how you get around. So a segue into this boat that you were talking about. This new what's going on there?
So it's an inflatable jet boat from Siberia. Actually, the company Solar, SOLAR. They've been making them for about 12 years now, and the design has evolved over time. But it just started with a group of guys that wanted to design a good boat for running rivers over there and for running shallow and being able to haul a load. So they've developed these inflatable jet boats that have built-in tunnels, and I just found them a couple years ago because the Juneau area, there's some really good rivers that you can run up, but the closest system is in Berners Bay, and that's still a 8-mile run through the salt, and then over on the Chilcats, you have to run about 14 miles to get to the Endicott or St. James over there. And then the Taku is a very big system, but it's still, I think, about 30 miles through the saltwater to get to, and it can get pretty snotty down there. It can get pretty snotty in Berners Bay as well, but not as bad as Taku Inlet. So having a jet boat to run up those is doable, but still not pleasant if you have even 1 foot of chop with a jet boat isn't ideal. So it's just looking and trying to figure out some way to access the rivers, and came across these inflatable jet boats. And the thing that really intrigued me about them is you could load them up in a bigger saltwater propped boat and run to the remote rivers and deploy the inflatables and put the motor on them and then run up the rivers with them. So that was kind of an intriguing idea for me. And then also, I could throw it in a truck, get on the ferry, go up to Haines and go play on the Chilcat and its tributaries, go up to the Yukon, and you got the Kathleen Lakes and Kathleen River system right there in the Yukon. And then of course you have the upper Yukon itself and then the rest of Alaska. And it's really, just a lot of opportunities being able to load a boat up and transport it like that. You can also roll it up and throw it in a plane, whether it's a Cub for the smaller jet boats or a 180 or a Beaver on floats or whatever, and go do some moose hunts or caribou hunts or fishing or just exploring. So it's just a lot of.
I'm not familiar with the market too much. Are there other inflatable jet boats that are on there? Obviously, there's tons of inflatables that you can put an outboard on, but as far as jet boat inflatables, what else is out there?
Yeah, so it's in North America, the only thing that is really people have been doing it with Zodiac and different things like that, but the problem is your jet foot's hanging below the transom, so you're going to smack your jet foot, and then when you do smack your transom on rocks or whatever else, you just have your PVC or Hypalon or whatever your material is right on the bottom of a hard wooden transom, so your transom hits and you beat up your transom, you poke holes in there. So it's nice because it gets your jet foot up, so you're not hanging your jet foot up, and the way that their boats are designed, the floor actually runs underneath the transom, so you have a 4-inch cushion where you can literally just bounce it off boulders, and you're not going to pinch that material. You're not going to beat your transom up. You're going to beat your jet foot up less. I mean, you probably still will smack the jet foot if you really run through some shallow bouldery stuff. But so as far as other stuff on the market that was designed for jets, Alaska Series rafts out of Anchorage has the Jet Ranger, which is a inflatable boat that's designed to run with jets, and it's similar to in design to old Metzler rafts, but it doesn't have a dedicated tunnel, so to speak. But the bottom kind of lifts and accommodates the jet foot a little bit, and you can find information and videos pretty easy on those. Those guys have been pretty popular for well over 10 years, I'd say. But yeah, there's some differences in design between these solar boats in the Alaska series Jet Rangers, and price as well.
What you said? It's fairly packable. You said. What's the weight on one of those things?
Yeah, so the specific model that I'm getting is the 420, which is 4.2 meters, and it's about 125 pounds, and rolls up to kind of 2 foot by 2 foot by 5 foot. Easily picked up and moved by 2 people. 1 person, you can do it, but obviously not super fun. But you can stand it up on end and flop it into a boat or into the back of a truck, or throw it on a dolly if you want to save your back. Mm-hmm. And then they also make a model that's the 380, which is 3.8 meters, and it comes in at about 100 pounds. And they're also working on a smaller, lighter version of that one as well for the guys that want to do dedicated fly out stuff. And then they make them all the way up to 6 meters, which is a pretty good sized boat.
What's your outboard?
So the outboard I'm going to be running with this one is it's a 35 horse 2-stroke Johnson. And it comes in at about 135 pounds. So it's about the max of what I want to be moving by myself. But you can get smaller outboards, but
nice.
Anything in the 25 to 30 horsepower range with a jet on it will be about the appropriate power for the model that I'm getting. If you get some of the larger boats, you're going to want a little bit more power. I mean, it's doable with less power, but start loading them up, and obviously you want to have as much power as you can feasibly get. Yeah.
What other toys are on your radar? Alaska toys are pretty expensive. Are you going to be a snow machine guy? Are you going to be a 4-wheeler guy, or?
Juneau doesn't make a whole lot of sense for 4-wheelers. They're working on getting more access for having ATV trails and stuff like that. If I lived in Haines, I'd want to have both of those. Or if I went to Haines super regularly, there is some good access for snow machines, but it's not really on my radar. Pretty much just I'm pretty set with having some hunting gear. I ski when we have winters, so ski gear, and then I shoot archery too. So I got archery stuff, I got hunting stuff, and then boats, and that's pretty much enough to. And then how much gear comes with fly fishing. So between hunting, fishing, and boating, I'm pretty well set, and skiing.
What was the snow like up there? You guys got a couple good storms up there, right? Was Eagle Crest all right?
No, it was depressing. It was the last good winters we had, 12 and 13 were good, 13 and 14 were good, and then they've been spotty since. This last winter, it started out promising. November, we got absolutely dumped on. There was some good skiing in the end of November, and then December came and it got warm and rainy and washed it all away. And then January and February were just cold but low precipitation. And then about mid-February, we got dumped on good, and we got dumped on good for a month or two. So we had a month and a half to 2 months of good skiing. And I was able to make it out a handful of times in that time period. It was just a busy time. If I would have gotten after it, it would have been good. But it's hard on the ski area just having it spotty like that and not having good consistent snow. So it's been really since 13, 14, we've had relatively marginal winters.
Yeah. So we had a couple good snows. So we don't have a ski resort down here, but some people do some backcountry stuff, and so they had some pretty good runs. So a couple of weeks when things were pretty good.
Yeah, I heard about the I have a friend that used to work down there for the Forest Service, and he'd do some backcountry skiing down there. I think Dude Mountain, and I heard about the unfortunate accident there this winter.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah,
That's always risks, man. Living up here, a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a tragedy when stuff like that happens. But like you said, that's part of the allure of living in Southeast Alaska and Alaska in general. Is it's there's a certain romance and a certain freedom in having the ability to have the public land and the access to go, get out in the wild and to put yourself in risky country and brown bear country and whatever else. It's it's freeing to have that ability to do that. It makes you feel alive and in touch with nature and whatever else. But yeah, there's boating, skiing, fishing, whatever. There's definitely risks to all of it. So
you don't want to be cold and callous about it, but that's just one of the things that kind of happens up here. Yeah. You have the opportunity to do all those things that we said. And, since we grew up on Prince of Wales, we've known people every couple of years where, the boat sinks, the boat capsizes. It's tragic. Yeah. It's awful, but, that's kind of what happens. It's no more dangerous than driving every day, commuting for an hour or so down south in some of those areas. So,
yeah, absolutely. And it's, life just has risks that are inherent. And like you said, it's a part of life. But it's nice having the option or the choice and the freedom to go and do those things and explore and, hunt, fish, provide for yourself, adventure, whatever. That's part of the reason why and growing up where we did, it just gets in your blood being able to, you go out and you have literally thousands upon thousands of acres to choose from. And, you can go and explore, and you never have to hunt the same place twice if you don't want to. Often we do, because we kind of get, used to our spots, quote unquote. But, it's nice just having the freedom to go do that.
Yeah. Do you ever get tired of the winters or of the cold and ponder moving to a more temperate environment and get out of this and not have to worry about rain all the time, or are you hooked?
No, I'm pretty hooked on, I see the steelhead fishing in like Washington and Oregon, and especially in BC, and that, the thought of being able to pursue steelhead 12 months out of the year is definitely alluring, but then you talk to people that are from those areas and they say, no, it's, you have paradise up here with the amount of freedom that you have and the lack of people and competition, I guess. But there's that thought's always been on the back of my mind, but I have a hard time when I go out. I want to get out and away from people for the most part. So I'm set in that way. I see the fishing down and I know what the fishing's like on Prince of Wales. So I see that, and I see this, even in Ketchikan, some of the fishing there, even in Sitka, and kind of get a little bit jealous of that. So I wouldn't mind moving back to somewhere else that has a little bit better options as far as stream fishing goes. That's probably what I struggle with the most about the Juneau area is it's a little bit more difficult to get out and get into some good deer hunting, and it's more difficult to get out and get into some good trout fishing or steelhead fishing in terms of the streams and access. If you have a nice day and you can get out in the boat and get somewhere, it's good. But there's a lot of days where if it's blowing northerly or southeasterly, which are the predominant winds, you're kind of shut down because Lynn Canal and Stevens Passage run north to south, and they can get pretty surly. So being landlocked can get frustrating, or just not having the time to go do that. And I think, man, it'd be nice to live somewhere where I could drive to some good access. But
if you look at the brochure of anywhere, it can be, you can convince yourself that this would be the place to go. If you live in Washington, right, you could drive all those places, and you were in state, and you got mule deer, and you got elk, and you got whitetail, and you have all these opportunities. It sounds really, really good. You can convince yourself that, Washington's the place to go. Do the same Oregon, but it's not.
Right.
What's the likelihood of everything working out the way you want it to? And are you going to make those long road trips? And are you going to draw the tag? Or are there going to be a ton of other people there, all in hunter orange? You're going to have to bow hunt. What are the other things that come with it?
Yeah. And you've lived in that reality, so you would be able to speak to it better than me, living in California and knowing those struggles.
Well, California was pretty crazy. The area that I drew for my hunting was pretty rough, but it was great trout fishing. It's fun to go up there and catch little trout in the Sierra Nevada, little brook trout and golden trout. But
yeah, and you got Klamath and Smith and those rivers up in Northern California and Oregon or whatnot. But yeah, I would rather have. I'd rather have a little bit less opportunity and more space and freedom, I guess, and more wilderness. So no, I'm not. I wouldn't really want to BC maybe, terrace, but aside from that, not really. I would. Yeah, no. My main gripes with Juneau is the hunting can be tough. If you want to challenge yourself, come hunt Douglas. In terms of the deer are just spooky, and there's a lot of people. And then the fishing can be challenging, but it can be really good sometimes too. In Montana Creek, you can have some really good dolly fishing in August and September, and there's some good coho fishing around. We used to have decent hatchery king fishing, but they've been failing to return recently. But it doesn't really compare to Prince of Wales or Southern Southeast. The streams are just, like you said, talking to Kayla, the mountains are just really angry and the streams come down pretty quick, and there's just not a lot of great spawning habitat, and a lot of them are either glaciated or post glaciated. So if there was good spawning habitat, it fills up with silt. So it really kind of mitigates the habitat that could be good. Just the reds would get choked out with silt, so there's just less fish. But I was just out fishing Cowee Creek today, and I got skunked, but it was I had a good time. It was beautiful. I got an hour and a half of good fishing in, and it was. I wasn't wishing to be anywhere else while I was fishing, so that's good. But there's definitely days that I long and dream for, the Harris in spring, or the Thorn or Carta or whatever. So.
Yeah, there's good rivers right now. They're fishing pretty well, I hear.
Yeah, that's what my Instagram and Facebook feed's telling me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on, man. I know it's you got some daddy duty. So, any other closing thoughts about Juneau?
Yeah, it's a very beautiful place. And there's definitely, if you're, like you say, don't let your circumstances beat you down. If you want to be outside doing stuff, there's plenty of stuff to do, whether it's hiking, trail running, hunting, just get after it. So yeah, and I look forward to expanding the opportunities here and seeing what we can get done with these boats, and with hopefully getting into some more hunting. I'd like to go after some moose this year, whether it's up the Taku or over on the Chilkat Peninsula. So yeah, so hopefully we open up some opportunities and have some luck, or at least make some memories and have an adventure. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Thanks, man, for taking the time, and we'll talk to you later.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks.
As always, thanks for listening. Make sure you check out the mediocrealaskan.com for content, for other podcast episodes, for all things real, a legit Alaska from Real Legit Alaskan. Let's talk to you next time.